Well, as you just saw, last week was not the best one that me or this Mazda have ever had in our short time together. Suffered a mechanical breakdown that put me on the side of the road late last Friday afternoon. As you can see, I was sitting there on the side of a causeway. I was coming through Decatur on the way back to Huntsville, and I just turned onto the bridge, which is at that point it's 31 and 72, and got to the top of it, and the engine shut down right when I got to the top. So I coasted the rest of the way down and tried to start the engine a couple times along the way, and it wouldn't restart. And so I had to coast off the side right there. Where that is they actually doing some road work, which in true Alabama fashion has been dragging on about 3 or 4 or 5 times longer than it should have. Should have already been done, but they pay as they go on road construction in Alabama, and they don't have any money anyway, so it's got the edge of the highway shut off right there with cones. So I knew that I was going to have to bail off right there instead of trying to go on forward, because there's absolutely no place to pull off, you know, quarter mile ahead. So I did that, sat there, called a wrecker, got it towed home. Of course, when it cooled off and got here, started right up and ran fine. So first thing we did, my brother came by, and he has OBD2 reader like mine, but his is a little bit more higher level, so it kind of tells you what actual the code means. So we pulled codes on this, and it's got a couple existing codes. Got one for a catalytic converter code, which is because it ain't there, and then got one for a cylinder 4 misfire, which is that one on the end. And I don't know why that does that. It doesn't have any indications of missing. Don't know about that one either. But what was interesting is that a P1345 trouble code, and what that comes up as is that is actually a manufacturer specific code, which means anything above 1000 is manufacturer specific, which means that it's a code that means one certain thing for one certain manufacturer. So Ford may have some in there, Chrysler may have some, Nissan may have some, and then this one actually, that code actually is shared by Mazda and Chevrolet, and it actually means somewhat of the same thing. On a Chevrolet, it means that the correlation between the cam position sensor and the crankshaft position sensor is inaccurate. It means one of them is not sending the signals at the proper time according to what the computer expects out of it. And on a Mazda, it simply means that 1345 means that there's no cam position sensor signal. So cam position sensor on these is quite easy to get to. It's right up here at the top, mounted in the valve cover, and so it's held in by one 10mm bolt right here, and just one plug unplugs, it's out and changed. So this thing online is about $17. So if this is in fact what failed on here temporarily, then a $17 part cost me $150, because I don't have AAA, which AAA really, you know, you're still paying for it, just in a different way. So that's real nice. It's always nice to have something like that happen. This car had actually given me a couple symptoms that it was maybe thinking about doing something like this to begin with, because periodically I would be driving down the road, and it would be like the engine ignition power to the engine had just momentarily got interrupted. It would just have just a little bit of a jerk or a sputter or something like that, and it would do this just randomly and not predictable at all. And what it also did was, one time when I was at a traffic light, I'd been sitting there for a while, the RPMs, the tachometer, you watch the tachometer, and all of a sudden the engine started running rough, and it dropped down a couple 300 RPMs and sputtered and fluttered just a couple seconds, acted like it was going to quit. Then it came back up and idled fine. So those were a couple hints, and I guess probably also the third sign that something was on its way out was that periodically it would try to have an extended crank when it was hot, meaning normally it turns over 2, 3, 4 times and starts right up, but this, you know, it would spin about 2, 3 times as long as it normally did, and then it would start, you know. And what that all points at, when you have an electrical problem like a sensor or something like that, anything that's operated electrically that has circuits in it or ignition system component, heat, engine heat, excessive engine heat, or just normal engine heat, as a matter of fact, will cause them to fail if they're on the borderline anyway. So evidently that could be what's up with that. But before we're going to buy parts for it, we need to try to make it, we need to try to replicate the conditions that are going on. And in every case that I had any kind of problems, I've been sitting in traffic, so the under hood temperature was up, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the engine and let it run and bring it up to speed. Well, not up to speed, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Up to engine operating temperature with the air conditioner on. And then I'm going to take my hairdryer. It's here. I'm going to take my hairdryer and I'm going to use it to apply excess heat to this cam sensor. And we're going to see if we can make the engine cut up and quit like it did before. Now, our luck, it won't do anything. I'll sit here all day with this and it won't do anything, but I'm thinking that if this thing actually is iffy, then this might send it over the edge. So we're going to try it anyway. So let's start it up and get it going and let it warm up. Got a little bit of a loose belt there, I see, my air conditioner belt. That was the one that I was missing the adjuster on, and I put it back on, but I didn't bother adjusting it, so anyway. So I'll let this warm up. I won't keep the camera on the whole way, but when it gets up to temperature, then that's when we'll start our test. See you in a bit. Okay then, well, the engine's been running about 10 minutes or so up to temperature, so let's begin our test. Well, well, look at this. Aha! That's what I was going through on the side of the road. Caught you, you bastard. camera up here. That's good. Hang on a second, guys. Get you set up back here on my tripod. Come back to your tripod. Yeah, I'd given up on this. I thought, no, I ain't gonna act up. Spoke too soon. Alright, let's see, yeah. Get you back here. Let's try it again. Nothing. I smell gas, but nothing else. So, yeah, that thing is hot. Pricing. This is barely lukewarm now. Okay, this doesn't change anything. Okay guys, there you saw it. I couldn't do it with the hair dryer. Just wouldn't get hot enough, I guess. But after I turned off the engine and closed the hood and let it sit for I guess I've been in the back about 15 minutes or so, and then I just on a whim I had to get something out here, so I just came and tried to start it, and it did what you saw there. So cooling that thing off made it run again, so I'm pretty well convinced that's what our problem is. It just has a weak cam position sensor, so that's a good way to kind of stress something and then cool it back down to see if it's actually what the culprit could be. So hope you enjoyed. See you around.